Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the live stream. My name is Jacob Gabbard from Invest with Jacob. We do this every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. unless otherwise noted for time off and or emergencies. Thanks for being here. Today we're going to go over two indicators that we've created ourselves that absolutely dominate the market, and also just my thoughts on the market, the structure, where we're at, price action, any questions you have, things like that. We go through all of it and try to have a good time while we're doing it. Sometimes it can be slow with the trades because we don't trade everything or anything. We trade what the indicator gives us in valid setups. And it's kind of a preview into what happens in my rooms and in my world, Invest with Jacob's world. We are currently long. We've been long for a few days now. I think we got long Thursday, somewhere around there. We got long back here at like 7:47 or something. We're going to be at about 7:54 at the open, so we're doing really well on our long. We've already taken a little bit of profit off. If you've been watching the stream, you know that I think we're in a bullish setup, and that is playing out as we speak. And we'll get into that in just a minute. So today, what do we do here? We do live trading. We have a half hour, well, about 28 minutes now until the market opens. And what you see on your screen is what we're going to be looking at today. Now, I'll take these trade charts down that have all of the trades listed, but I wanted you to see them. So if you're not familiar with the product, you can see one, how it's performing, and two, how many trades we had, the winners, losers, all that kind of stuff, and get an idea of what you get. So up here on the top left, we have three charts here. It could be hard to tell. We have three charts. On the top left is the NASDAQ futures. On the bottom left is the ES futures. And on the right here is the SPY S&P 500 ETF. So what we're going to be doing today is on the right, we're going to be trading IWJ Pivot Point Pro. On the left, we're trading futures edition of Squeeze Sniper. And the Squeeze Sniper has been really, really good. We'll start with that. You can see here the NQ we've had. So this is, by the way, we're on the 1 minute chart here on the left. So the NQ chart is on the 1 minute, the ES is on the 1 minute, and the SPY is on the 5 minute. We trade off of the 1 minute chart with our futures edition, and that's simply because of the entry. We want the entry to be precise, and the 1 minute chart closes the fastest and gives us the most precise entry that will stay on the screen for the trades. We're actually trading hourly and daily setups and using that for our trades. So even though we're on the 1 minute chart, we're actually trading the 1 hour and daily setups. Now, because we're on the 1 minute chart, TradingView will only give you so many bars of data. And on the 1 minute chart, it's 3 weeks of data. You got to remember that's a lot of 1 minute bars in a day. You get 3 weeks of data. So for the last 3 weeks, and this is a rolling 3 weeks because TradingView can only give you the data that it has. It can't give you the cumulative data. So for the last 3 weeks, since like June 18th or something, almost 4 weeks, not quite 4 weeks, we have 71 trades. Out of those 70, this is the NASDAQ. We are 48 and 23 for a 67.61% win rate for 449.5 points. So the NASDAQ trades at $20 a point. That's about $9,000 in 3 weeks, trading one contract. You can see this is the last 12 trades here. We can go back further. I can do 25, but it's going to be a full screen of garbage. Not garbage, just too much stuff on the screen. At any rate, you can see we're 8 and 4 in the last 12, which lines right up with our 66%. And again, doing really, really well. Most of them are going to average between 15 and 30 points as winners. But when you get a take profit 1 stop, which means you hit the take profit 1, we did not get to take profit 2 and came back and hit our stop. Those are going to be smaller because you trade, you close part of your trade here and then it comes back and stops out. And the average of the two averages down to a lower number. But most of the time you're going to be in between 15 and 30 points. Sometimes you'll do better depending on the runner. Sometimes you'll do a little bit less, hardly ever less than 15 on a winner. And, that's $300 per contract in your pocket. So really, really successful with NASDAQ. ES also successful now. I'll be perfectly honest because I don't hide anything. The ES has been in a little bit of a slump, and we're still hitting 62% of our trades, and we're still up 94 points, which times $50 a point is $4,500. Actually, it's $4,700. You couple that with $9,000. If you're just trading one contract on each of these, you're up about $13,000 over the last 3 weeks. That's a pretty good deal. But as you can see, the ES over its last 12 has been 6 and 6, so it's 500, but still doing very well overall. And that's just going to happen. You're going to go through some times where the market is kind of choppy or over, not giving you the breakouts or the setups exactly the way they're supposed to be. And if you think about that, if you take, we have 50 trades here, we're 31 and 19. Which means if you take those trades off, we're 25 and 13 over the rest of the trades, which is really, really good. So, even with that 500 slump, we're still up almost 100 points, and we're still 62%. So, really, really powerful product. If you trade futures, I don't know how you can trade without it. I'm going to take these off the screen now so we can see on the screen a little bit more. And you can do this when you get it. You can take the trade log off. Oh, one thing in the alerting engine, it gives you the armed setup alert. And what that means is it knows when a trade's about to come. So it will send you an alert and say, hey, here's your stop, here's your entry, and here's your 2 take profits. When we hit this target, you need to enter the trade. So you're not getting an alert. Then you get to the chart and the price has already left you behind. You're getting to the chart before the trade even happens. And then you are able to be ready for that trade. Additionally, we are in beta, which means that it's not fully baked. So one thing is we are still working on the alerting engine, but it is giving armed alerts. We keep updating it to do better. But it is giving you alerts when it's ready to enter. So we do still have a couple of little bugs in there, but we're working those out. It's not a huge deal. It's simply just getting the code right with TradingView because it's a heavy code, guys. It's almost 3,000 lines of code, and that is a lot of bugs, essentially, is what that means. So we have that feature. We also have long, take profit, stop, and exit in the alerting engine as well. So there's that. And then took the trade log off of that one. Let me take the trade log off down here. And then currently we are only taking long trades. So here is an actual trade. I'm going to make it bigger so we can see it better. Here's an actual trade that we had last night. It's our last trade on the ES. And you can see on the entry, it gives you the entry price, the stop price, the take profit, and the take profit 2. It gives you the when you hit the take profit, it tells you to take 75% off of your trade. So if you're trading 4, you would close 3. Just depending on how you want to set it up, I realize that the numbers aren't going to always work out this way. You might have to take 66% off or something else, but take a fair amount off at the first take profit because that's the one we're really looking to hit. After that, we're looking for runners, but we don't always get them. Take profit 2, you take off another 15%. And then so you don't have FOMO, we leave a 10% runner. And you can see the stair-stepping runner here coming up, and this is the stop for the runner. It eventually comes back and tags it and closes out here on that trade. So it gives you everything you need to know in the trade. It gives you the entry price, the stop price, the take profit, and the take profit 2 so that you can set up your trade and walk away. You can literally set up your trade and leave for the day. Now, you may need to make a couple adjustments on your runner as time goes on, but in general, you don't have to sit in front of the computer and go, okay, when do I take profit? Is it going to come up? How's that going to work? As we move forward, we will add shorts to it. Longs are easier to code than shorts. Longs play out better than shorts. But we will add a shorting engine as well. So there will be more trades, more opportunity. And again, I only put out what I consider to be quality stuff. So if it's not hitting at over 60%, I am not really that happy with it. And so we're still working on the shorting side, and then once it's up to par, we'll start adding it in as well. But because it's in beta, because we're still working on it, because there are things going on, you can get it at a discount. It's $20 cheaper per month than it will be. It's $77 a month. There's a link in the description. Considering that's about $2.50 a month, and you would be up $13,000. Or even if you took the E-minis, you'd be up $1,300. If you were trading the NQ minis and the E-minis, $250 seems like a bargain. $250 a day, $77 for that, and it's $770 for the year. You get 2 months free if you do the yearly. But once it's fully baked, it will go to $97 and $970. So if you want to try it out or you want to be a part of it, I would get in now so that you can get because the price will stay $77 forever. Once you're in, whatever price you get in at. That is the price. So check it out if you want to do that. On the right, we're using IWJ Pivot Point Pro. And that is, so the difference between the two indicators is a question I get a lot. The one on the left is a squeeze indicator. We're looking for squeezes. There are certain setups that allow squeezes to happen. And the one on the right, we're looking for reversals. So you should be seeing buys near the bottom and sells near the top. Now there's no sell up here yet because no sell has come, but you did get a buy down here near the bottom. They ran it up and so on. Now, the blue and the yellow here, the light blue, light yellow on the chart is after hours and pre-market. We don't trade that. It's not very consistent. It's very choppy, and so it's not really great for a reversal indicator. But we do trade. What I trade with this is I trade from 9:30 the open, 9:30 Eastern to noon Eastern, so 2.5 hours. That's when the majority of your reversals are going to happen in the market. So for the most part on a given day, and you can go back and look at charts all day and find this out, for the most part, the market is going to find its way early in the day. It's either going to pull back, find a low, and then grind higher, or it's going to race up, find a high, and then sell down. Or, the third part of that, because we've had this happen too, is you get multiple trades where the market finds a low, grinds back up to the pre-market high, grinds back down to the low, grinds back up, and you get some really nice setups in here like that. Where this is not effective is trend days. So when the market is moving in one direction, you can't really trade reversals. And those are kind of the anti-reversal trade. So any trend day we have is not a great day to be trading, but it can kind of filter that out. So it understands when the market is in a trend, and there are ways for you to understand that as well. I teach that in my classes. I teach that in Elliott Wave Theory, your chart setup, how to do that. All of that is in my rooms. You get that with the $49 a month. You get all the Elliott Wave courses. You get all the chart setups, all the theory on it, and why it's set up the way it is, and you can identify trend days as well. So that's the difference between the two. This one does not have entries and exits because we don't know when those are going to be. We use our own risk management style. All of that, if you do get Pivot Point Pro, all of that is taught in the training videos. We use a 50 cent stop. We trade options, 0 DTE options. I personally trade 50 contracts per trade. And that has netted over 100, well over 100, almost approaching 150,000 over the last few years on a $100,000 account. So it's done really, 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 really well. Both together combined are phenomenal. You just have to be patient. We don't trade. I don't trade. In my room and in my life, I have learned valuable lessons. Most of them are don't blow up accounts because I've done plenty of that. I've been the guy that had 20,000, put it all on one trade, made 30,000, had 50,000, put it all on one trade, then had zero. I've been that guy a lot. Early in my trading life, I blew up a lot of money, and I got really sad being broke. So I forced myself to learn lessons because I was either going to not trade And that seems stupid because if you want to enhance your future, you need to make your money work for you. Or I was going to figure out how to trade. And I did the latter. So I teach the latter. I teach how to trade properly. And it's boring. Guess what? It's really boring. But guess what else? It's really awesome when you want to go on a vacation and you look at your bank account and you're like, yes, I do want to go on that vacation. That'll be awesome. That's what's awesome. Sitting in front of the screen and trading, not that fun, but it's actually fun because I get to hang out with people and talk, and I have a really awesome group. But the physical act of sitting in front of a screen and waiting, which is why I love futures, that's one of the reasons I created it, was to make it hands-off. The actual physical act of sitting in front of a screen and trading by yourself isn't that awesome. It's boring and slow, but it makes money if you do it the way we teach. We make money. That we aren't here to gamble. We aren't here to have action. We aren't here to trade every little thing. And we don't trade every type of setup. There are a million ways to trade the market, literally infinite ways. You can trade any way you want as long as you have a plan and you understand what you're doing and it's a profitable plan. You can trade any way you want. My way isn't the only way, and it certainly may not be the best way. I don't know. I've never audited everybody's trading style, but it is a way that consistently makes money. It understands the market. If I think, I don't want to speak for my people, but I think the people in my room would tell you that I understand charts pretty darn well, and I understand what the market's going to do pretty darn well most of the time. Like everybody in the world, the market will humble you and will make you feel stupid sometimes. But I think most of the time we're on point with what the market's going to do. I've been told quite a lot over the last few weeks that this is not a bullish setup, and we continue to grind higher. I'm not here to be right or wrong, I'll tell you that. I'm not here to tell you, hey, this is definitely what the market's going to do, but I am here to tell you how the market works so that when the market does what it's going to do, you're ready for it and you're trading it. Like I said, we're long right now. We were long several days ago because the setup is for long. We have an idea for the upside and we have an idea for the downside. Then when key levels are hit and structure supports the idea, we move into looking for our trade. Then when the setup appears, we take the trade. So just because I say this is a bull setup doesn't mean we're long. It means that we're looking for a bull setup to trade where we can get in, be ready to go long, and do something like that. Just because I give two paths doesn't mean I get to be right every day because whether the market goes up or down, you gave a path. That's not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for how to make money. And I have a primary path and a secondary path, and the primary is what I'm looking for, and the secondary is what happens when you're wrong. If you don't know what happens when you're wrong, you're going to lose money in the market. If you don't have a plan for what happens when you're wrong, you're going to lose money in the market. If you don't have an understanding that the market can humble you, you're going to lose money in the market. So of course I have an up and a down plan. I don't care which way the market goes. I care where the setup is and how to make money. And if that's what you care about, you're in the right place. All right. We got about 10 minutes to the open, so let's go over the paths for the market, where we're at, and why it's a bullish setup. Come on. Where's my little X? All right, we'll do it the old-fashioned way. Okay, here's Oklo from last night. By the way, I do a live video at the close every day, 3:55 p.m. I say every day at 3:55 p.m., but inevitably, one day a week I do have my daughter's gymnastics. That won't happen for the next couple weeks because she's going to be at her grandpa's for the couple weeks of summer. But I'm generally here 3:55 every day unless, again, something strange occurs. Like yesterday, I had a family thing I had to take care of, so we did it at 6. So today, after the call, if you want to join that, you can. I'll get into the comments in just a second, but let's go through the paths first so I can get set up to trade. All right, so the high here, you have no real 4-5. You have a baby 4-5, but the reason everybody says, why don't you think this is the top? This is the reason. This is a very clear move up. It's a very clear pullback in what I think is a wave 4 that is finally a substantial wave 4, a wave 4 that fits the chart much better. So I do think we need another high. That's the first thing. The second thing is you have a really nice move up here. So you have a 1-2, 1-2 setup. Then they came back up to the pivot. I told my group when they got to the pivot, you can see several days of consolidation in the pivot. And then if they break back over 76.30, we're very likely hitting 77.13, but more accurately 77.97 or 7800 would be the next target up. And then we would look for them to continue the full-on bull pattern up toward 8,000. July is a very bullish month into August. At the middle to end of August, we usually start to see the market wane, especially in election years. August tends to turn bearish toward the end, and then September and October tend to be pretty strongly bearish in midterm election years. That's a statistic. So here is another thing about trading. You want to be the casino, not the gambler. Casinos are on the right side of statistics. They're on the right side of probability. They always have the edge. You want to be them. The market and the market makers are out to manipulate you and trick you and trap you over and over and over again. You need to be on their side. You need to figure out how they do that, which we do. That's how my indicators work. That's how my trading works. And you need to understand it, because otherwise you're the one being manipulated. When people say the market is rigged, I agree, not in the way you think. It's rigged in the sense that they know how the herd, us as humans, behave, because they trained us from birth how to behave. They gave you books on investing. They gave you CNBC with guys talking about stupid things constantly on there like it matters. They give you the news cycle. They give you the fake sell-offs. They give you all of the things that get you to think a certain way so that you are a herd. And guess what happens in the herds in Africa? When the weather changes, they know they got to get to the watering hole. When the lions come, they pack up and get tight and defend. They all act the same way. Now, you may have a stray guy out of the herd that goes a different way, but they know that the herd is safe. So when the guys go stray, they get killed by the lions. So they want to stay in the herd. And they know that, and they've trained you to be in the herd. Remember that. You are trained to react a certain way to the market because they play your emotions over and over and over again. The market is an emotional being. It is not driven by analytics and earnings reports and the Fed. It is driven by sentiment, and they prove it over and over and over again. And they trap you over and over and over again. Always remember that. And I can show you that over and over again if you want. I can't do it right now. I don't have enough time, but in my room, I've gone through that a lot. At any rate, we have a 1-2-1-2 setup. Those are very bullish. If it breaks out of this rising wedge or 1-2-1-2 setup, then off we go. It should be a squeeze. There is a downside pattern. It also involves a little bit higher, in my opinion, where this is A of 4. Then you have this ABC flat for B of 4. It'll come up a little higher, maybe even to the prior highs and kind of give a double top look. Then we'd look for 72.50 down. And then I still expect them to hold this level of support right here. It's a very strong level. If they don't hold that, then they'll likely hold this level slightly below it, about 100 points below that. Those are the two levels that would be very, very important, but you would look for them still to make another high. I still need a 4-5 in my opinion. Can this be 4 and this be 5? The answer is, of course, yes. However, it's not what you would expect to see. It certainly doesn't fit the mold, and it's not what I would say is the most likely scenario. And I want to be on the most likely side. So that's our setup on the ES. On the NASDAQ, you have a little bit different of a setup. It is much more sloppy. A lot of overlap. So on the NASDAQ, you didn't make a new low here on the 11th, where you did on the ES. So you have a wave 4 down. Then you have this 1-2. So it doesn't work out because there's no 3-4-5. So for this to be up, it's going to be a diagonal. So this is going to be wave 1 of 3. Wave 1, of 5. And then you have your A, B, C down for 2. And then you have A, B, C for 3. Then you'd have a 4 and a 5 after that. If they break out, you would be looking for them to come up to about 30,800 first, small pullback. So this would be ABC for A of 3, pullback in B of 3, and then C of 3 should target 31.4 to 31.9 or 32 basically thousand. And then they should get one more pullback and high after that on the NASDAQ. If they're going to break down on the NASDAQ, it's going to be more of a diagonal down where you have A of 4 and then B of 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3. 3 plays out as an ABC like that because it's a diagonal, and then 4 and 5 into this mess or this box down here just below. The target is 28,373 to 27,763. We would look for them to hold that area and then try to push higher after that. So that's where we're at on the counts and what we're looking for overall. We're about 4 minutes into the open, so let me get my trading software set up so that I'm good there. Uh-oh. Let's quit. Log off. Give me 1 second here, and I'll get that set up. I've been rambling here. I'll get into the comments in just 1 second. Good morning, everybody, and thank you for being on the stream. Let me do my setup here, and I'll answer any questions you have in there. All right. Get this pulled down here. Let's switch this back to this chart. Nope, this chart. Yeah. All right. Let's see what we got here. Good morning, Jacob. Well, thank you, WG Shocker. Good morning to you, Little Italia. Morning. Welcome to the stream, guys. Thank you for being here. Prabs, morning. Welcome to the stream. Is the armed alert working fine? Probably I went through that earlier, so hopefully you saw that. Will's astray, yeah. Welcome to the stream, Will. Good morning. I think the largest majority of the world is about to find out that the hive mentality leads to catastrophe. Laugh out loud. I agree, Arcturian. Welcome to the stream, and thank you. Are we looking at a put or a call at the open? Good question. Got a bit of a sloppiness here, so I would say we're probably looking at a little bit of selling at the open, but not for a put. We are already in a selling cycle, which means that they won't give us a fresh new sell in the open. Well, here's what I'll tell you. The last two catalysts have been strong to the upside, and we are trying to break out. There is a chance that you're just looking at a runner day today, where they continue to push higher and try to break out of the pivot. So you may, when I say a little bit of selling, I don't mean like they're going to sell it down to like 750. I mean like a little bit of a pullback, and then hold the support level down here around 753, maybe 752 or so. It's possible they test the pre-market low, but they're opening not at the pre-market high. They're below that a fair, about 50 cents or so. So let me look at the backstory here. Yeah, I would say that they have a very solid chance to try to put together an uptrend day today. If they do that, there's a chance we could pull back a little bit first and then do that. But I would say up is the theme of the day, given the overall setup of the charts. So as far as whether we're going to have a put or a call, it will depend on opening action more than anything else because we're not in a setup for either right now. Sideways action leads to indecision of the indicator, and then it's got to get an extreme one way or the other. Okay, they're going to test the pre-market high right here out of the rip. So they're over the pre-market high out of the gate. And what you'd look for now, preferably on a different bar, for a trend day, you have your 8, which is the red line. Black line is VWAP. Blue line is the 21. Those are exponential moving averages, and then VWAP. What you'd look for after they get above the pre-market high is a back test of this area that holds and then a new high. And if they get that, that is a very strong indication of a trend day up. And then as long as they hold the 21 for the continued grind up, or really whichever one's lowest, in this case it's the 21, as long as they hold that on any subsequent pullback, so they get above here, they pull back, test the 21 or the 8, one of them, go back up. You'd prefer they hold the 8. The 8 is momentum. The 21 is trend, and VWAP is just price. There's going to be a lot of traders there that want to trade off of VWAP. So that's how we're looking for a trend day. In general, Since you're looking for longs on squeeze sniper, once the long has been taken off of the low, you're probably not going to get an entry unless we get a decent pullback here. So could be slow this morning. We'll just have to see how they react over the pre-market high. But again, trading properly is boring. I can't beat that horse enough. Now, if you are a diehard, I have to trade type of person, one pattern you can trade that isn't the worst ever is if they lock up a bar above the pre-market high, they come back down to the 8, which is the red line. If you want to enter there and put your stop like below the 21, looking for them to just have a trend day, that is a perfectly valid type of trading style. So just because we don't take trades in my style doesn't mean you can't trade or there aren't other ways to trade. That is a valid trend day setup style of trade. So this could be a gap and go kind of day where they don't pull back because they kind of already did in the pre-market. They gave you the little pullback here, set the low, and then it was off to the races. And they've given you a high, a higher low, and a higher high here, continuing the trend of off of this low. They made this low, then they made a high, then they made a higher low, then they made a higher high, then they made a higher low, then they made a higher high. So the trend is definitely up since this low back here yesterday. So keep that in mind as well. And the trend is up in general, guys. This is a bull market. I can't say that enough. People don't listen. They want to say that the bull market's over so quickly. But here's how bull markets work. High, higher low, higher high. Until this breaks, the bull market is intact. If they do this, then this needs to break. If they do this, then this needs to break. This particular low right here is the April 25 low. If the April 25 low breaks, the bull market has serious issues. And it will break. It is going to break. That is, I would say, it's always an opinion. But for me, it's unquestioned. It is a very strong opinion in my case. Consider it a political opinion, unchangeable regardless of the facts presented to you. Just kidding. All you political people are funny. Always be willing to change your mind when new evidence is presented. Always. I will change my mind if new evidence is presented, but the April 25 lows will break. You can't submit enough evidence. Strong open here from the market. At least the SPY and the ES. Let's look at the NASDAQ. It does not look as strong. NASDAQ actually had a few, it'll catch up. A few down bars, but it's going to play catch up. So you got to pull back on the NASDAQ. Let's see, where's the open at? Right here. So they dropped 953 down to about 40 points. So it certainly wasn't a, oh my gosh. But little pullback, swipe the support. So perfect on the 1 minute chart. It's not a big deal, but a perfect swipe support reclaim situation where this support level got broken, got reclaimed, and off they went. Now, what we'd like to see to confirm that there's no failure here is one, NASDAQ, I would like to get on board with getting over the high. Two, you want to see the SPY hold this level or this level, either one. VWAP moving up with price tells you that buyers are getting on board, though. That is a good sign. Sometimes you'll see VWAP flat. So price is moving up, but VWAP's doing this. That tells you that the volume up here isn't great. VWAP moving up tells you volume is still solid. The back test of one of these three levels, but two of them are basically the same level. You'd like to see them back test and hold. And again, if they bounce off of the 8 VWAP area, you can put your stop right below the 21 and look for them to have a trend day if you want to trade that kind of trade. if you think that this is going to be a trend day. You do have a ADD that is at 900 and climbing. It opened at around 800 and is now up 100 already in the first 15 minutes of the day, so it is getting bought. And then the last thing you want to do if you're looking for a trend day is you want to look for supporting evidence. So what do I mean by that? Let's go to our charts over here. You want to see that RTY is green. It is, and on par with ES. So it's all right. NQ is leading the way. That's a good sign. Tech is the leader and should be leading. You want to see that the transports and banks are both green. Banks are solidly green. Transports about flat. They're not certainly not like, oh my gosh, they're gonna crash, but you'd like to see them green if possible. You want to see the leaders green on these types of days. So who are the leaders? Right now it's semiconductors. The Mag 7's getting beat up, but if the Mag 7 and semiconductors align in a long format, then you're going to see the market push. Semiconductors are up a little. They're up about almost 1/4%, fluctuating though. And Nvidia is up a little, and the Mag 7 is up a lot. So you have them aligned, although semiconductors did just go red. So you have alignment here. You have the ADD. You have most things looking bullish. And as long as it stays that way, I'd keep an eye on semiconductors. If they start to turn, the market will have a trouble breaking out. As long as it stays that way, then I would expect a continuation trend day today. NASDAQ and ES going in opposite directions here. You can see the ES chart is solidly up where the NASDAQ is solidly down. So somebody's going to level out here. My suspicion is the NASDAQ will find a low and catch up, and they will go up. If I'm looking at the NASDAQ chart, this low down here has an opportunity to hold. Again, this is the 1 minute chart, so these supports aren't going to be amazing. And we're not trading. We're trading on, if you're new to the stream, we're trading on the 1 minute chart. We're not trading the 1 minute chart. We're actually trading the hourly and daily charts, but the 1 minute allows us to get the most precise entries. Okay, so in the ES SPY combo, you're getting a back test of the, so ES doesn't have its moving averages on here. But on the SPY, you're getting a back test of the VWAP area. Like I said, if you wanted to get long off of that, you would already be back up only about 30 cents so far, but you'd have an opportunity for that bounce with your stop being down here below the 21. Now, it's an aggressive strategy, don't get me wrong, and I would want to see NASDAQ starting to repair. I would be more inclined if NASDAQ had gone up and broken its pre-market high to trade that strategy if I was looking for something to trade, but still, it's the setup is a valid setup, and you take each chart on its own. I just like supporting evidence to be aligned. So if they pull back far enough here at the open, then we could get a buy signal. On this chart over here on the right. Well, technically all charts, but this one on the right specifically. While there are definitely days that the market opens and just does this. Those are few and far between. Like 5% of trading days do that, or this. Most of the time, if they're going to go up or down for the day, you're going to see a pullback to trap that usually can break support even. Um, then you see kind of a reclaim pattern, and then you'll see them come back and take out the high, and then they'll go because they don't want everybody just to get at the open, get long, and get free money. They want to punish anybody who's late to the show or early to the show. Either way, they want you to be on time, and if you're not on time, then they want to punish you. So a pullback here does not mean they're not going to break out. It simply means that we have to watch the chart for the setup and see if they can give it to us. And if they do, then we'll look for the trend day. We have not gotten a trend day set up yet. Remember, they have to get above the pre-market high, which they did. They have to back test one of these or all of these levels. Any one is fine. So they've back tested. That is complete. Now the next step is they have to make a new high back over this high. If they make a new high, that's very likely to be a trend day. Why is that likely to be a trend day, if you asked? No one typed it, but just saying. Because you broke out over a key level, which is the moving averages and the pre-market high. You came back to the moving averages where the buyers should be. And if the buyers are there, they should be strong enough to push you to a new high, which tells you the buyers are willing to buy today. The buyers are there and they're willing to buy because they made a new high here. That is what tells you the buyers are ready to go. And in those cases, almost always the result is continued grind higher, back test to the 8, continued grind higher, back test to the 8. You have a sell on NQ Pivot Pro? Maybe. I don't look at that. We look at the SPY because all three need to be in alignment. You know this, Sean. NQ, ES, and SPY all have to be in alignment for a sell to appear on the, so that for the SPY to have a buy or sell, ES, NQ, and SPY all have to be in agreement. They all have to be saying, hey, we're at extremes and we're all bottoming or topping and we're looking to reverse here, because that signifies that this is a broad market thing and not just a tech thing or not just an ES thing or a healthcare thing or whatever. That it's broad buying and selling, and that's what you want to see. And so when you see that, the SPY will give you the buy or sell, which is, this is made, you can trade it on the NAS or the ES, I guess it's fine. But those, the NAS and ES are not looking for agreement across all three all the time. So you can get a sell on one ES or NAS, but not get the SPY. Now, if they close below the 21, it's very likely they're going to come test the pre-market low or even the after hours low. Let me refrain. Let me rephrase that. If they close below the 21 and don't immediately recapture, in other words, they give you something a little more like this, then I would be looking for somewhere down here, minimum of 752, extension to 751, and below that can turn into a problem. Nasdaq came in or is below, so you would look for the Nasdaq to come down to its after hours low minimum, pre-market low after that. So 29,767 to 745 would be a likely target for the Nasdaq. I don't have the moving averages on there, but I'm pretty certain they're going to be below all three. So do look for that potential. Let me look at options prices real quick. Options prices are fairly cheap, so I would not expect the pre-market low to break in a substantial way. In other words, they can certainly do this, or they could certainly do this, but I don't expect them to do this, where they're just off to the races to the downside. Options prices aren't the only way to, or not always guaranteed to kind of predict that, but they are currently predicting very low volatility, which usually means selling will be contained. Summertime colds are stupid, by the way. How do you get a cold in the summer? They should rename colds. They're not colds. If you can get them in the summer, that's, silly. Mags are up nicely. Yeah, they're kind of holding things up because SMH has turned red, and Nvidia has turned red, and Meta has turned red, but the rest of them are up pretty good. As I look down through here real quick. Guys, I tell my group all the time, this being over 5%, this 30-year being over 5, is a bad deal. The market will not like it. It does not like it, and it has now persisted over 5 and has a chance to break out. So that is a major warning for the medium to longer term markets. Short term, they'll let it go for a little bit. They'll see how it goes. They're willing to say, hey, can we get a couple weeks of this and then it goes back down below 5? But if it persists and stays above 5 like it's doing kind of now, that will eventually be felt in the market. The only thing worse than a summer cold is explaining how you caught one exactly. I know how I got it. I have a kid in daycare, but every germ in the world comes through that place. Well, where'd we reject from? 76.26. I'm going to go look at the other chart for 1 second here. Oops. I think that's right around the prior high, so that rejection makes a lot of sense. Yeah, exactly. Okay. So just so you guys can see what I was thinking in my head, they came right into this prior high from the 10th, which was Friday, and rejected it. So they came right back to the top of the pivot and rejected again. I said this in the morning. This morning, I said it in my room. I've said it repeatedly. Consolidation in the pivot is super normal. As long as they hold yesterday's low, that's the kind of line in the sand. I said that in yesterday's closing video as well as in my room and blah, blah, blah. So this is perfectly normal behavior. I figured they would come into this, and you got to see this is a rejection zone, right? So they came into it here, rejected all the way down to create your wave 2. Came back to it here, rejected down to the 0.5, came back to it here, rejecting again. As long as they don't make a lower low here. So what would happen then is you'd have this build back to get all the way back to this resistance. A small failure, a return that couldn't take out the high. That's the important part. They didn't make a new high. And now if they come back and make a new low, that tells you the sellers are still really strong here. And that this was a trap. It's a trap. That's the worst Star Wars impression of that guy ever, I think. Still battling with VWAP right here. So in general, when a market creates a level, high or low, and so they created the level and they pull back off of it. When they come back to that level If they can't take out the high the first time, which is pretty normal, that's okay. But they should pull back less than they did originally. So the first time they pulled back very far, the sellers were heavy at that level. The second time, the level should be weakening unless it is a seller's level. So you should get a smaller pullback. Check. Oh, no, sorry. Check right here. The third time, you should either break through or get one more smaller pullback to kind of complete the overall nested 1-2 set and then break through. If they come back and break this low, they were never able to make a new high over this high, and then they've created a lower low and a lower low. So they made a lower low, and now they created a new lower low without making a new high, which is not a strong setup, and it tells you the sellers are still pretty strong at that level. But if they hold and come back up here today, then I would suspect they'll break through. Either they'll close up here today and then break through the rest of the week. They'll, consolidate a little more and break through, or they'll just do it today. Price action. It's the key to the market. Tells you where everybody's sentiment is and where the traps are. Why can I not click? There we go. So NASDAQ did come down to the after hours low. I said that was the minimum target. Pre-market low after that, 29,745. So we will look for them to try to hold here, which they are doing so far. Again, they could come down and get a little bit below the pre-market low before trying to turn up, but I don't suspect we're going to see major selling today, just based on a lot of the evidence on the charts and then the options prices as well. Essentially, this is a real-time back test of yesterday's high on the ES. So where they made their high yesterday at about 76.03, they've back tested it, and now they're going to see if they can hold that, which is typical bullish behavior. If they hold it, if they lose it, and then they're probably coming down here somewhere. NASDAQ has turned red. Being led by SMH. Probably not being led by SMH, but SMH being down is a indication that semiconductors are weak, so being led by semiconductors. So they broke the 21 here. I said if they didn't immediately recapture it, we'd look down. But so far, this bar is about to close. It looks like they're going to immediately recapture it. So this is, if they don't reject the VWAP here, this is going to start to look bullish on the SPY. Might see a little bit of consolidation for a minute before they get through, but if they rifle right through this, then I would look for them to start to push back to the highs and challenge them. The monthly high, 76.2875, is what they came up just short of from the 10th, Friday's high, I believe that was, we just looked at, or whatever high day it was. So keep an eye on that, because breaking above that's likely to lead to a squeeze because of the pivot being broken. There's a little bit more resistance up at the all-time highs which are, I don't remember, 48. So if they break through 26, 25, I would look for them to get up towards the 48 area and challenge. And then it'll be kind of decision time for the ES, because getting up there would be where we would expect the alternate pattern to play out, where we're getting a flat for wave 4. I talked about that at the beginning of the video. And we would kind of make a double top there and then come down to 7250 or so and end wave 4 down there. That is certainly a possibility. So that would be the first place to start watching for issues, if you will, in the bull pattern, or a direct break of yesterday's low. NASDAQ has moved back green. SMH is trying to climb back up here. We'll see if it can get back to positive. If it does and starts to turn and NQ and Meta come with it, then you have a pretty green slate. And I would expect the continuation pattern up to play out. Back through the pre-market high here, that's important. If they can hold and close above that, then I would say probably something like this is what's next. While we're waiting, I'll give a quick shameless plug because I am a dad and I do care about my kids a lot. My daughter has started her own YouTube channel called Bobby Science and Slime. If you haven't checked it out, go do that. It's pretty funny. She only has 2 videos up, but they've done well so far, and she's very excited about it. And any support would be great. If you want to hit the like button just to give it a little push, that would be awesome. But she's doing good. She's pretty funny. She's a character, man. I think sitting around me being on YouTube all the time has rubbed off on her. She's a little gap up here. They'll come back and fill that most likely. But they did close above the VWAP 8. So I personally, because I'm weird, would like to see them fill this gap sooner than later and then continue. Otherwise, they will come back to this at some point, either later today or another day, and fill this gap. Usually, though, it's pretty quick when they do. I learned that I've been trapped too many times in longs where I said, wow, that's strong. It's going to keep going. And instead of taking profit here, they come back and close the gap and then do this. And I'm like, come on. So gaps make me nervous when they're not filled right away. If you're day trading, I mean, if you're on bigger charts, it's not as big a deal. they eventually will fill most gaps on the bigger charts too, but a gap doesn't mean they're going to come fill it right away on a big chart most of the time, or very often they don't. They'll come fill it the next day or the next week or something. Oh, I don't know if I said her YouTube channel name. Bobby's Science and Slime is the YouTube channel. Bobbie, Bobby Science and Slime. There's the plug. All done. So now my spidey sense is telling me that you may see them like come back here, fill this gap, and then break out. Maybe. They don't have to do that, but again, gaps just make me nervous. I don't like them. I don't like them because the charts don't like them. I don't care about them as far as anything else. Doesn't matter to me. But the charts don't like them, so they want to fill them. Which means if I have a long here, I have to be worried that not only are they going to fill it, they're going to follow through to the downside. Think it is SMH causing the problem? Yeah, I mean they were leading. They were really the only red sector of the majors. They still are a little bit red. If they turn back green, I don't think there'll be much issue with the market moving higher today. I don't know who would be dragging it down. I mean, there are some big semiconductor stocks that could be down. I haven't looked at all of them, but in general, if SMH is green, then the semiconductors are fine. And it's kind of fluctuating here between 1 to 4 points down. It was I think it was up about 4 points earlier. Let's see, we can put it on the chart here real quick. Yeah, it opened up here at 606, so it was about 8 points higher than it is now. So it was up about 6 points today. But they have come down and broken their after hours low. Where's yesterday's pre-market low? Okay, so they came down to their after hours low as well. Again, anytime you break down below the three majors, very likely you're coming to a minimum of the after hours low if you don't recapture very, very quickly. Don't you feel it's strange that SMH DRAM and Mag 7 are going in opposite directions? No, they're very different things. Semiconductors are very different than AI. You're talking about hardware versus software. And they are hemorrhaging money for the software, but the hardware platforms are sold out of semiconductors for the foreseeable future. They have a lot of momentum. They are the bubble. I mean, they are in their major breakout stage and topping stage, in my opinion, now. So no, I don't think that's anything too crazy. Look at this. They're going to come back and close this gap. Maybe not, but that's how I feel. Till that gap's closed, I'm uneasy about it. The question is, are they going to close it and follow through, or come back down, hold the VWAP area, and go, new gap, new bar, new problem. There's that one filled. Again, that's me being paranoid. So don't, if you're long, don't trade off of that. Trade what you trade and what you see and what you like. But I just know through my experience that those gaps become issues. I've watched the overnights though, guys. I've watched them come down as a low and then come back up and maybe set a gap like right here. And then I've watched them do this, and then I'll go to bed at like midnight or something, and in my head I'll say, regardless of where they are when we wake up, I bet you that at some point they come back here overnight, and I'd say 90% of the time they do. They may be up here when I wake up, may still be up here where we're at, but point being, they did come down to fill that gap. And if they get too far away, that's when you have to kind of start to worry and say, how far away are we going to get before we come back, especially on the smaller charts? Because on the smaller charts, they have a lot more opportunities to come fill those gaps. Let's see, did SMH run a trap? That's going to be our question of the day. Very possible. So, how do you know it's a trap? I don't yet. But they got below the after hours low, so that's an important level, right? That's your sweep low. This is your sweep low right here. They got back above it, got back below it, but couldn't make a new low. Just like I said, if they can't make a new high and drop back below the other level, that's a bad deal. So they couldn't make a new low yet. If they come back to this 599 level, that is very, very likely a squeeze to the upside. With a return to, let's see where they're at here. $603 is where I would look for them to come to if they get back to 599 and touch on SMH. That's how they set you up in traps. So this is a classic failed breakdown attempt if they get back up. They still got to get back to the after hours low, but what they do is they run this trap literally every day. They find a support level, they come break the support level. So in this case, we'll call it the after hours low as the most prominent one. This week's open, not good enough. They come back, they get back to that support level that they broke, and one of two things is going to happen here. Sellers are good, and we continue. Sellers are weak, they come back, and that tells you price wants to be here and not here. And then they continue. Now, when I say squeeze, I don't mean sometimes I do, but I don't know when it's going to happen. In the sense, what I mean, okay, sorry, that wasn't even a sentence. I don't even know what the hell that was, guys. I'm sorry. When I say squeeze, that doesn't mean that every time they hit 599, they're going to go like this. Sometimes they do. They might still do this. What it means is this low is very likely good, and they're very likely to hit 603. Then we'll have to see what happens. They could come back to 603 and fail back down, but 603 is the next number. It happens to also be right around the 21. That is where I would look for them to come to. 602.50 looks more accurate to me because of the heavy options there, but 603 is really kind of the level. So let's see, they haven't quite got back there yet, but if they do get back in touch, then I would suspect a squeeze here. Do not front run this. You can see they can run traps in both directions. Until they hit 599, this can absolutely collapse. They have to get back to price to prove that's where they wanted price. Otherwise, it's just a trap in the opposite direction. Because then you have the low, they got back to price, they came back down, couldn't get back up to price, adios. So until they hit 599, do not get long here. How is SanDisk in the short term? You'll have to ask that on the midday call, Parveen. We don't do those on here. I'm just doing SMH. It's the market leader, and it's going to likely control what happens the rest of the day in the market. So I am trying to see how they are reacting off of this low and teaching. I want to teach you guys failed breakdowns and what they look like. This is not a failed breakdown yet. As I said, they can absolutely come down and break this low and continue. And if they do, it's not a failed breakdown because they never got back to price here. So support and resistance, same thing. Break price, back test. What happens next is important. They can absolutely V-shape it. You don't always get the rejection. But very often you'll see they'll either get above it or right to it. In this case, they got slightly above it, reject again, and then what happens here is important. If they break down and make a low, look out below. If they come back up and hit this price, up we go. It's a fairly simple pattern, but it's very, very powerful. To me, based on the ES and kind of this NQ over here, I would say they will probably hold this low, um, or they'll run another slightly different trap where they come down, give you an almost setup, then do this and then come back up and then reset it. You don't want to be shorting down here. The move down's already happened. So you're looking for the long entry, and you just got to be patient. Squeeze Sniper version 2 nailed that last bounce on ES. That's awesome. Good job. For those of you that don't know, the Futures Edition, you get two. If you get Squeeze Sniper, you get two versions. You get version 2 and then the Futures Edition. Version 2 can be used on, for now, can be used on stocks and futures both, but it has some inherent bugs that I talk about when you get it. And version futures edition doesn't have those bugs. It has, it's still in beta, so it does have some minor issues. Nothing at all that affects the trading. It's more about the alerting stuff. But its version 2 is very powerful and very good. It's just got issues that I don't like, so I'm fixing them, or we fix them, and that's what the futures edition addresses. We're still working on the stock and ETF side of things, and that will hopefully be fixed in the very near future, and then everything will just be one version of Squeeze Sniper. Stocks and ETFs just a little bit different because of the overnight data and how we process that. It looks like okay there. So you can see how precise they are with these traps. They came up to 598.81, 599 was the number they needed to get back to show very bullish behavior, and they were unable to do it. So um, semiconductors still haven't found their bottom yet. Again, they can swipe this bottom and come back up, but this is a warning sign. Very often, this can sell quickly down to the next level. In this case, that's going to be about 592.50, 592.50 it looks like, and then 590 after that. But like I said, don't short here. This isn't what you want. It's not the worst place ever to short, but um, when you have bullish context, very often these are going to be traps. So I don't recommend shorting the break of this low. Let's go back over to the SPY real quick. ADD still very strong, fairly strong, not very strong. Sorry, it's at 860. It's come down a little, but positive 860 is a strong, um, above average bull rating. You want like 1500 on true trend days, 12 to 15, anything over 1,000 really, but I like 1500. But not bad. I mean, certainly doable for a trend day up. Vold is positive, certainly not blowing you away positive, but positive. SPY reapproaching the highs here, ES reapproaching the highs here. We'll see if they can get through the monthly open, or the monthly high, I mean, not open. 76.2875 is the key number there. If they do, then 76.40 would likely be on deck. Is Dow causing this fall in ES and in Q? Uh, all three of those are green, so I'm not sure what you mean by that. Johnny Andrew Squeeze Sniper 3, version 3 is the latest version. Yeah, but version 2.0 is so you're you're talking about two different things. Are you talking about Futures Edition or the other edition? Because the Futures Edition and version 2.0 are different. They're two different things. Well, ES and SPY still trying to break out here. If they do, that constitutes a trend day. And if that's the case, it means we likely won't have trades because the filter of the um, Pivot Point Pro kicks in. And then again, you might get a trade on NQ because they pulled back pretty far here. Pretty close. Your entry was basically at the lows overnight, which is what we want right off the low, looking for that squeeze setup, which we got. So you might get one on NQ, especially if they come down and make a new low here. So we'll see what happens here. Uh-oh, double top alert. They're going to come fill this gap, and NQ is going to break down because SMH now has. Oops, I went to the wrong one. Once again, how precise can they be? Extremely precise. They did not break over this high. That is the essence of the trap. NQ about to hit that pre-market low. Remember we said the two targets First would be the minimum would be the after hours low. They hit it, bounced back, and now are coming back for the pre-market low. And then we'll see what happens after that. NQ could potentially have a trend day down if they follow the right parameters, but I don't necessarily think that's going to be the case. There's the tag of the pre-market low and the bounce. Let's see if we get any kind of trade off of that. I'd like to see this gap get filled while they're down here. Just come on down and fill the gap, guys. You're already here. Don't you feel the SPY could give up its gains if QQQ doesn't rally? Sure. I mean, they're never going to go in the opposite direction for very long. So one of them is going to win. Given NQ is at its pre-market low and SPY was just at its pre-market high, I do think a trap down here, and options prices are where they are. Trap down here seems more likely to me. A fill of this gap, a trap of this low, line up pretty well. But I mean, I think we can say that on any day. If the Qs aren't rallying, the SPY is going to follow along, or vice versa. There's the gap fill. All right. So my spidey sense was correct. Come back up, fill the gap, and then see what happens. Now it's important for the SPY to hold here. Uh, 29,660 will be a low to watch here, about 30 points down from where we are right now. They're at 29,684.75 will be a low to watch. They're below that. Very strong selling bar here for the Bears. You saw two precise traps there, guys. One on SMH where they came very close to setting a failed breakdown and then didn't. And then one on SPY where they came very close to setting a trend day but didn't. Until they actually do it, they can absolutely be trapping you here. And all the late bulls here just got eviscerated. Well, I was going to wrap it up on the breakout of the high here, but the breakdown gives us a chance for some trades. So we will hang in there and see if we can get an NQ trade, potentially even an ES trade. The SPY could give us a trade also. It's got some work to do. The NQ's been in a sell cycle for a while. The SPY has not. Obviously, the SPY was very bullish. So we still need a little more downside to get into the sell cycle on the SPY. But on the sniper, we could get to trades. And I do think long is still going to be okay. Options prices are still in the dirt. They're very cheap, very cheap. Market makers are not scared whatsoever right now. And that tells you that they explicitly do not expect a breakdown. Again, can they be wrong? Yeah, they've been wrong before. I've seen lots of times where the market's priced at $1 and then all of a sudden you have $8 options because the market sold off like a freight train. But more often than not, they're not wrong. SMH leading the charge down now. They gave that lower low setup and did sell off. We're going to stay here on these two, but I'm going to switch over here. So they got right to here and then broke this low, and that was the elevator down. Now they just swiped yesterday's low, so you can look for another recapture here. So what you'd look for is low set back to at least this level, but usually slightly above, pullback that doesn't make a new low, and then back to that price, and then you can get long. And I would look for where did they break down from before? 596 to 599 and a squeeze. But they have to give you the setup. The alternative setup is called the V shape, where they just blast through and go. That doesn't really give you an entry, so you just move on to the next one. But if they give you the right entry, it is an absolute awesome setup. Strong reply from the ES here. NQ still trying to get off the mat. They got to get back above, reclaim some levels, but the ES already back above the pre-market high. So you can see they reclaimed all three of these instantly. That's very bullish. So they closed the gap, tested the lows, and off they went. Oh, there's an entry on the NASDAQ, guys. So if you want to take that entry, you certainly can. Try to make it so you guys can see that better. So your entry was 29,710. Your stop is 29,655. 29,728 and 38 are your two targets. Stopped out there, but 20 was the high here. 29,736. Oh, I see. So that's an unfortunate occurrence there. It happens. It just is what it is. So you can't have the entry and the take profit on the same bar on the chart. In theory, they hit 29,728. We got in at 29,710 on this bar, and then they went up and hit. But because of TradingView's limitations, what happens is the reason that it goes this way is because, let's say price moved up to here, then pulled back, all in the same bar, which happens more than you think, and then gives the entry here, right? If the entry is here and the price target is here, TradingView doesn't know when this price got hit. It doesn't know if it's in the same bar. It doesn't know if it was before or after the entry. So what it sees is the entry, and then you got in immediately, right? And if you have it where it can print on the same bar, the entry and the take profit would come up at the exact same time, which is impossible, right? There's another entry, by the way. And so this hit the profit target, but TradingView doesn't because I have a block on that because TradingView doesn't understand how that works exactly. It doesn't allow it to take profit where it was supposed to take profit, if that makes sense, because it would have been an instant instant win, which is not a possible thing. And so the block there didn't allow us to have a winning trade when we would have had a winning trade, unfortunately, or at least a take profit one and then stop out. So that one was an unfortunate, just nothing you can do about it trade, unfortunately. Okay, now we're going to move these. That's hard to see on this screen. So we're going to move these over some. See if we can make this a little more visible. Nasdaq is at risk of giving us a trend day down here, which is interesting given the ES's strength, but the ES will likely follow along if Nasdaq does break down. Yeah, so we'll see how they handle this, but this is a back test and lower low. They're coming into yesterday's low, which is going to be a key area for them to hold. If they can't hold yesterday's low, then you might see some selling. Again, not what the market makers had in mind, I can tell you that. They were not looking for a breakdown sell off, which, to be honest, everything else is green. NASDAQ is the only one struggling right now, but um, options prices are still. Let me see what they are now. I haven't looked at them here. Yeah, options prices are still really cheap. So I'm having trouble. Usually you see there we're starting to see maybe a potential move, but off of yesterday's low. My assumption would be that yesterday's low is going to hold in some way, shape, or form, whether they don't get through it or they kind of do one of these numbers. Based on the strength everywhere else and the options pricing, but this has been wrong so far, so we will see if they are able to hold or not. Interesting day. Not our best day over here on the NASDAQ. It happens. Um, you're going to have losers from time to time. Now that it has two losers, it will not trade the rest of the day. It locks out after two losers. We don't want to try to continue to catch a falling knife, if you will. So it had a setup, it tried it, didn't work out, and now it will. This one will lock you out. So ES can still trade. Pivot Point Pro doesn't have a lockout, and we have a three strikes and you're out. That's our own personal rule. Rarely do we ever hit that, but with the new version, you just don't get that enough trades to hit three strikes and you're out. Okay, let's go back over to the SPY here. Oops, wrong chart. ADD still climbing. Like there's just not a whole lot. It's just semiconductors in the Nasdaq that is pounding the Nasdaq. SMH is down 2.75%, and it is what drives the Nasdaq currently. It is the major driver and its friends. So you have a singular market that doesn't overlap as much in the ES. So the Mag 7, which does overlap quite a bit, is strong. And the semiconductors, which don't overlap as much, are weak, which is why you're seeing very different directions in the charts today. We'll see if the semiconductors can find this low and hold and continue. SPY coming along here now toward the lows. ES hasn't quite broken today's low. Now it has. I would be looking for now SPY to come into 752 at a minimum and 751.31 as an alternate target. Let's see, is there 29,303, the next major area? We'll see if they can hold. They got through yesterday's low, so now we need to see them try to find a way to recapture here and go. Otherwise, we are likely to see continuation to the downside, at least into that weekly low. If you're in my room, guys, I just did give an update on our swing trade alert. I'm going to close another third here. Just the pattern on the NQ is starting to look pretty ugly, and I want to take some more profit off the table. So that is another third I just closed. They absolutely can rip this back up. We'll have still part of our trade going if they do, but if they do happen to put through a breakdown here, it's likely to get a little aggressive, and so I don't want to um, get trapped and underwater when we absolutely don't need to. Money uh, in the pocket is better than money lost. So let me out. Sorry, I'm trying to type and do this all at one time. There we go. That was very hard to do. Um, I could definitely see ES coming down, into these levels here, and we don't want to eat another 2 to 3 points of SPY price for no reason. We gave them a couple chances to break out and push towards 758, which is what I was looking for, and still may happen. It's early in the day, but we don't want to. You can't go broke taking profits is really the way to look at it. So right now you've got a reclaim here. So watch for them to squeeze yesterday's low. That could be a area we see on the Nasdaq where they push pretty strongly to the upside. This is going to be a key time for the Nasdaq because if they come back down and lose this low, then they're going to accelerate down into 29,303 most likely. Do have a potential for a buy signal on the SPY chart. We'll see if that plays out or not. The NQ selling may be too strong. The prior selling, obviously not the current buying. Currently looking at a 754 strike right now. That may change as they move up, but if they do give us a buy signal here, we will have it at the 754 strike. Again, that's a big if. NQ, excuse me, NQ could never get off the mat. ES starting to look like a potential gap and crap if they can't hold where they're at. NQ very much trying to hold this low from yesterday. They swiped it here and have gotten back above it. We'll see if they're able to hold this area or if it's going to be a continued breakdown. Given that the SPY should be targeting at least 752.23, I would guess. Well, I mean, they do have some room to try to hold against that. They could come down with the SPY and still hold this low, but it's gonna be close. SPY is definitely moving a little quicker than NQ right now. ES and SPY. 75.85 to 75.83 would be the target on ES, and then see what happens from there. Might be a nice long here if NQ can get a bounce. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. If they hold, I would very much wager ES closes up near the highs. If they hold, it's very important that they hold. If they don't hold, well, we'll see. Is this not the business of wagering? No. Well, I like to be on the right side of the probabilities of the wager, Jack. But yes, it is the business of wagering. NQ's trying to flip to a buy here. ES not there yet. Trying to build some structure here. This is basically the decision maker of the day. If they can hold here, then it can turn bullish again and things start to push higher quickly. If they do not hold here, things can turn bearish quickly and break down. But we'll see how it plays out. Back test of the 8 on the SPY. Very important time here. If they can recapture, they'll have to get all the way back above VWAP at 754.29 to start really flipping things. But this back test is going to be important. If they come down and make a new low off this 8, that can be troublesome. Market has slowed to a crawl here. Battle zone. Yesterday, didn't you mention that the 717 level on QQQ is key level to hold for the bulls? No, I definitely didn't say anything about the QQQ. I never pull that chart up. I said yesterday's low is a key level to hold on the NQ, which they're trying to do right now, but not the QQQ. I feel like SPY will close flat today because it makes the market makers happy. Yeah, well, they just get to burn premium in that case. But there's no premium to burn. They usually want to do that when markets are very polarized, if you will. So CPI, Fed, things like that, or the the juice is like $3 and then they can just keep it flat. They can rage it higher, rage it lower, close it flat. Um, and they may do that today. They certainly might do that today, trapping everybody. But we'll see. WI2G. I don't know the rest of those things. Hello, welcome to the stream. DJC hourly ES looks bearish. Um, I don't know if I'd say bearish. You have one red candle. This one is currently building. We'll see how it goes, but I wouldn't say it's bearish yet. Um, they've got a twin top here that is a little bit of a reversal signal, but until they break down below 75.93, I would not say it's bearish yet. Remember, higher highs, higher lows. That's what's important. Bearish means that the trend has broken. The trend is still not broken. There's no doubt you have a nice rejection candle there, but they still have to follow through. They haven't broken anything. You have one candle. One candle does not make a setup. There's no doubt this is a bearish candle, but the setup and the chart is not bearish. The chart is still bullish until they break the prior low. All right, that last bar closing on NQ the way it did was very it had a buy, went back to a sell, and came back to a buy, which means it's not going to issue a buy signal on the SPY. So that's going to close down the trading for today. There's no reason to sit and watch the chart if you know that trades aren't going to come. So we're going to wrap it up here. Definitely a place to watch for a bounce, guys. Yesterday's low got swiped, and NASDAQ is putting together structure that's starting to look like a bull move here. If they take out, 1 second, let me make it so I can see it. If they take out 29,646, they've got some work to do still, but their next target's going to be about this 29,684, and then they got to get through this little bump right here, and then they can start to really squeeze. But getting over this high right here that they double tested, even on the 1 minute chart, is going to be key for the NAS. And then if we go over here and put the NASDAQ up, that 29,642 zone is huge. They came down, set the low, broke yesterday's low, and so far have held above it several times. This is going to be the level 29,643. They get through that, and I would say 29,724 is next. Also a breakdown zone. Also the 21. Then after that, you've got 29,768, 29,822 for the NASDAQ. ES, it's going to be more like the high. They never broke down below even this low here, let alone earlier lows. So as long as they stay above the after hours high, that's the start of a breakdown there. They're still in perfectly fine territory to take this back to the highs. Watch for a squeeze here, especially if they get back above VWAP. Unfortunately, the NASDAQ did give us a dipsy-do trade or move there that will cause this indicator to not give us a buy signal here. So squeeze incoming. We still have part of our swing long left. If they can get back above this, NASDAQ's already breaking above that level over here. If they can hold above that level, that's the key. They got to hold above it. I think we'll see a pretty strong squeeze. Like I said, the market makers were never scared of a sell-off. They ran a lot of traps. ES never participated in the sell-off. They never even got down to their after-hours low. So I'd be shocked if they close below 775.83. That would be shocking to me, to be quite honest. I don't get shocked by the market very much. It would be wild to me if they closed below that, given all of the evidence around. Certainly not impossible. Certainly not something that won't happen, but something that I would say is unlikely to happen. That's a pretty big level, and they've the Bears have had every chance to break this down. So unless they're running an elaborate trap, which is certainly possible, I mean, I guess you could call this like a A/B setup here, and like this, they could certainly do that, but I still think that only targets right around that low. So I think the pre-market low should hold today. Even if they get down to it, I would expect them to battle back above it, just like the NQ did off of yesterday's low so far. So we'll see how they progress throughout the day, but as of right now, they're almost back to the pre-market high again. I mean, they're 5 points away from the pre-market high. So they never really even got below 7,600 with any kind of gusto yet. Now they're back to VWAP. VWAP, they're seeing can push down, but be interesting to me if they close below the pre-market low. Shocking may not be the right word. Shocking would be like yesterday's low. Overall, though, still consolidation in the pivot. NASDAQ still choppy as expected. I've warned many times that the NASDAQ bullish pattern is going to be choppy when it plays out, if it plays out. And it hasn't disappointed, that's for sure. So we're going to wrap it up here since there are no trades coming, and we'll call it a day. We'll do it again next Wednesday. The Wednesday curse continues. The NASDAQ did not have much luck over here on those two trades, and that's just how it goes on Wednesdays. We'll be back for the close at 3:55 p.m. today. Make sure you check that out. Thanks for being here, everybody. I appreciate it.